Hey, Deb.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Hello.
We all set? Okay, everybody on?
We're on.
Okay, I'm going to open the April 1st meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Health, 6:30. This is not an April Fool's joke. We're really on. First, we're going to have an update with COVID. Deb and John.
Okay. Well, we finished the month of March with 23 cases. And right now, as of April 1st, we only have 5 active cases. The weekly data came out tonight, and Nahant now is back in the green because we had only 15 active cases in the 2-week reporting period. And the cutoff is 15. So we just made it. The interesting news this week across the state is that the average age of people now in the hospital is 64, but the average age of the people who are dying is 77. The average age of people testing positive right now across the state is 34. So again, we can see how the vaccine being rolled out, of course, to the oldest people first, is doing its job more or less, right? And the people who have yet to be vaccinated are the people that are testing positive. So we continue to vaccinate. We still have the clinics in full swing at Lynn Tech, and the Board of Health are continuing to do our clinics at the Breed Junior High School in Lynn. Along with today, this week we've been giving the second dose Moderna shots to a lot of the elderly from the housing buildings, and we also started giving the people who met the criteria this week 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson. So both of the clinics have been pretty much maxed out every day. There's no clinic tomorrow because of Good Friday, but they'll be back in full swing again on Monday. In this town, we are good in school. We don't have any active cases in the Johnson School. So I think it's great that we're back in the green. We did have a little uptick. We were part of the cluster in Swampscott at the high school. All of those students have been released from quarantine now. And they're all going back to school full-time Monday. And according to the school nurse at the high school, there'll be 500 students in school on Monday. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they can stay in school this time. So that's all I have. John, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Well, just I'm glad that all the students have been cleared at Swampscott High. And I'd like to repeat a couple of things I mentioned at the last meeting. Since we've gone into phase 4, step 1, that means that our maximum numbers have increased for gatherings at private outdoors at 25 and indoors at 10. We've had that since phase 3, but the public and event facilities are allowed to go up to 150 outdoors and 100 indoors. There are certainly other considerations, including the travel order being changed to a travel advisory and some changes within that advisory. Anybody who wishes to look up the current mandates and guidelines is encouraged to go to mass.gov, click on the banner at the top, coronavirus, read more, and they keep it up to date. No more than, from what I've seen, no more than 24 hours past the changes. However, if anyone has any questions, as some folks in town do, you should feel free to contact me at healthofficer@nahant.org, and we will take a look at their particular situation and see what the mandates and guidelines say for whatever they have in mind. Any questions from Selectmen?
No, thank you, John. I don't have any, Gene or Josh?
No, thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Deb. Let's see, opening comments. Josh or Gene?
Mr. Chairman, before we get to that, can I just add a couple things?
Yep, go right ahead.
Tonight, we will be voting, you will be voting to approve the appointment of another assistant public health nurse. Deb Murphy and I interviewed Kristen Carmody early last week, and she's has an outstanding resume, presented herself extremely well, and is the perfect candidate to help us out on this with managing the public health department and this pandemic. So that is listed in here at the top, but we'll be getting into that later. Dan Scripp has also been working with Mary Lowe and Kristen Taylor in our office on communicating with our local businesses who may be requesting outside dining areas, like temporary outdoor dining areas like they did last year. We gave temporary approval for last year. We would have to give that approval again. So we've been working on, what that process looks like, what a form might look like, communicating with our local businesses, and that should be. I don't believe any are in front of us tonight. But Dan, when last time you and I were speaking, did you say that the Board of Selectmen could authorize me to approve those and then report on them at Board of Selectmen meetings, or do they need to come in front of the Board of Selectmen first?
No, the Board of Selectmen can delegate the authority for you to approve the request for a temporary extension of the outdoor seating service. It's not the actual license, it's just the temporary extension. And that does not involve a hearing. If it did involve a hearing, the Board of Selectmen would have to be involved as a local licensing authority. But given that the statute says the town, just the town may authorize, then the selectmen can delegate that authority to you. But again, it can only the temporary extensions and not the actual original licenses, which I think are already issued anyway. So yes, the selectmen cannot delegate that authority to you.
So that's up to you, Mr. Chairman, and the board. If you want to provide me the authority to streamline it, obviously I would still be reporting that at the Board of Selectmen meeting, so it's public.
Sure, can we just make move on that there?
Yes.
Josh, want to make that motion to provide the town administrator the authority to grant
Temporary extension of outdoor dining service area.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the town administrator to extend permits, not permits exactly.
To extend the premises if applied by the local licensed holders regarding outdoor seating service.
As you stated, Dan.
Okay.
Seconded?
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Any further discussion?
Yeah, so just, Tony, when you do that, can you just let us know real time? So there's no time lag between when you make the approval and when it's announced at the Board of Selectmen meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank
Well, we're not that far behind, but for the local businesses, we are. They're already making their plans, right, for spring. So I want to be able to act swiftly on them, especially if they're no different from what we've already given in the past year.
And just to make clear, they have to apply for these extensions. They're not automatically given sua sponte. They've got to come to in this case now, Tony, and apply. It's not automatic.
Any further discussion? Seeing here and none, all in favor?
Josh Antrimai?
Dane Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Okay, is that it on that, Tony?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Opening comments. All I want to say is I want to extend my thanks to Vi and all her volunteers from Swim for doing the dune grass plantings down in Short Beach last week. I think they planted about 2,000 more plants. So I drove by a few times and everybody looked like they were enjoying themselves. So thank you for all the volunteers that did that, and hopefully we'll make the dune a little bit safer. Josh, you got any?
I do not.
Gene?
No, I do not.
Okay. Couple public announcements. Parking stickers are now available at nahant.org. Just sign on. I believe they're $10. Just get them online. Real estate bills were sent out today.
Hey, Mark, going back to the stickers, I
Fine.
tested the process, and I put in for it a week ago. I still haven't received the stickers. I don't know if that's a problem.
Okay.
It shouldn't
I
be. I know it, but they took your payment. It was for 2021.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get it soon.
No, I'm sure other people are asking the same thing.
Okay. Well, give it a week or so, and if you have any issues, you can call town hall.
I'm going to call you.
Okay, no. Real estate bills went out. They're due on May 3rd. Again, if you have any questions, call the town treasurer collector at town hall. Compost area open starting Saturday, April 3rd. The hours Saturdays and Wednesdays 9 to 3. Nahant resident sticker is required. You can check on nahant.org to see what sort of materials you can dispose at the compost area.
Can I bring up something about the
Yep,
compost
go ahead.
area?
Yep.
Just out doing a walk, going by there. And, you know, it's kind of an unsightly area in spite of the fact that we do a great job. DPW, Tony, do a great job on maintaining it, but it's so visible as you drive by, walk by, and it's a dump, so to speak. I was thinking if we could, and we can talk about this later, but just to plant the seed, is take and put arborvitaes all across the front part of that so that it can block that view of the area. And it can't be expensive, they're very cheap.
Sounds reasonable. Maybe Tony, you and Zach could take a look into that, perhaps.
Yep, so we actually have a, not arborvitaes, but tree plantings and fencing included in a CPC article to restore the basketball court area that's front and center. So the idea with that money is we would, if approved at town meeting, we will not only, you know, recoat the surface of the basketball court and put in new hoops, but we would actually run a fence along the left side and the back side of that park area and plant some trees where the fence kind of comes to the road to provide some taller, break of so you can't see, some type of visual barrier, you know, of the dump behind there. And then also, unfortunately, you know, last year because of town meeting being trimmed down, we didn't get to include our typical funds that we use to clean up the material that's in the compost area. So that's on the warrant for this year too. So we'll also be removing a lot of material out of the actual dump.
I just think it'd be good to you know, keep it hidden back there.
Agreed.
Okay, good. Thanks, Gene, for bringing that up. Great. Let's see, recycling dates for metal, white goods, TVs, computers. We're on the last Saturday of each month, starting April 24th and continuing through October 30th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. behind DPW. Fees may apply. I think they may apply for TVs and computers. Checks only, no cash. Let's see, visit nahant.org or call DPW at town hall for fee information and what's accepted and what's not. Finally, Charles Kelly scholarship applications being accepted. They're due April 16th by 12:30. You can go to nahant.org and follow all the application instructions. Get them to us. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
on
Go.
the subject of the Kelly scholarships, I wonder, maybe Tony, we can put something on the town hall Facebook page or something. Last year, we had sort of low response and late response. It's $1,000, so I'm sure there's a lot more than the 4 or 5 people that we received applications from last year that could benefit from that. So maybe we need to publicize this a little bit better.
Definitely.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Okay, on to new business. And the first item under new business is the appointment of Kristen Carmody as Assistant Public Health Nurse. This is, we've been waiting for this for a while. a little late, I know, Deb, but better late than never. Help is coming, so do I have a motion here we can discuss?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Kristen Carmody as the new Assistant Public Health Nurse.
Seconded.
Motion is made and seconded. As you said, Tony, I did take a look at Kristen's resume. She seems very well qualified, and I look forward to having her on board.
So she will be an assistant health nurse along with Anna McNicholas, working underneath and reporting to Deb Murphy. And we're extremely excited to bring her on and divvy up the workload.
Right. So we also have Tara Butler is on board as well. Tara was the first one to come on board. So I think it's just good to note that we now have a team, which I think is really very beneficial to everybody at this point, because of the vaccines and because of COVID right now. As you probably know, the numbers are starting to go up again, the daily numbers for COVID. And the vaccines that we're given, although nobody really knows exactly how long they'll be effective, it's starting, some of the data is starting to come out now that says, like our annual flu vaccine, they will only be effective for maybe around a 6-month period. And there's, of course, the very good chance that we will be vaccinating people again next year, and maybe we'll have to do it annually like we do the flu vaccine. So I think I'm very happy to have more nurses on board. Anna and Tara have done a great job when they've been able to cover. All of these nurses do have full-time positions, but they're available, intermittently at different times. And once we get Kristen up on board with her her state training, and then we can all meet and hopefully come up with some type of a workable schedule for everyone. So yes, I'm very excited, and I thought Kristen was going to join us tonight, but I don't see her anywhere. Do you see her, Tony?
No.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's great. Tony, this appointment's immediate, right? It's not subject to town meeting appropriation, right?
Correct. So we have public health related funds that we actually secured through a reserve fund transfer from the FinCom, but we also have anticipated funds from the federal government related to COVID costs. So this isn't dependent on omnibus budget approval.
Good. Okay, great. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We have a all alcohol liquor license to approve. This is, I guess, for Kelly Greens. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the application for a new annual restaurant all liquor license as applied for by R&B Management for the property located at 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Massachusetts 01908. All statutory requirements related to publication and notice were duly complied with, including publication in the Lynn Daily item, a local newspaper on March 18th, 2021, notice to all persons deemed by the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission to be affected by the petition was given.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Tony?
Actually, I'll defer to Dan.
Okay. Yeah. Can you repeat the question, please? I was looking at the
Just any
statute.
discussion on the motion. So anything else you want to add about the liquor license process?
Well, we've got to have a hearing, which is to say we have to invite folks to to give pro and con, and if no one speaks, that's fine, but at least we have to put it out there. The second thing is that the board has to find that when allowed, or sorry, if allowed, that the liquor license holder would not have a detrimental effect on Johnson School, since it's within 500 feet of the premises. And then in that same motion, the board can also vote to authorize Tony to send a letter to the ABCC in that regard. And those things are required by the ABCC when, for example, with the premises is within 500 feet of a school.
Okay, so Dan, this is a motion to approve the application. We don't
Yep.
issue it until after the hearing?
Yeah, right. There's got to be a hearing, right? And I thought that's what's going to happen. It's on the schedule for today. I don't think it'll be very long. But for example, if someone has issues regarding the school being so close, they have got to have a chance to talk about that.
Is it on?
Are you saying that we should be entering the hearing right now, Dan, before they
Well, yeah,
vote to approve?
Yeah, we can't approve the license until their hearing is held.
And it was booked, it was on the community calendar for tonight, posted separately on purpose.
Right.
For this meeting right now, right?
Right, yeah, right. So the hearing could be happening right now. The hearing could
Okay,
occur.
all right. So,
Yep.
so the board should withdraw that motion to approve, and we should
Mhm.
open up the hearing and then allow people to make comment.
Right.
And then vote to approve should we not hear any major issue.
Right,
Yeah.
and then find that that there will be no detrimental effect on the school. That's important.
Was there some publication of this hearing?
Yes,
I believe it was in the item.
it was in the item, and we mentioned at the last meeting as well.
It was also on the community calendar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, could you, you made the motion, could you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion.
Motion's been withdrawn. Gene, you don't need to second it because we never, so now we enter the hearing. Do you have the hearing notice in front of you, Tony?
I can share my screen.
Okay,
Hold on a second.
I mean, I think typically we announce the hearing, we read what we posted in the item, and then we have the hearing.
Yep, 1 second, sorry. Here it is. No, can you see this? Notice is hereby given that the application for a new annual restaurant all alcohol liquor license has been applied for by R&B Management for the property located at 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. 01908 under the Alcoholic Beverage Control Law. Any protest, if any there be, against the issuance of such a license will be heard at the hour of 6:30 or as time allows on the first day of April 2021 during a regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting. So this was posted on the 18th.
Okay, Dan, do we need a motion to open the hearing?
No, you can just go ahead and invite any participants.
Okay, all right, so everybody has heard the posting. First, we'll ask anyone speaking against the issuance or the approval of a liquor license. Please, how do you want to handle that, Tony? To the chat room or raise your hand? How do you
Sure,
want to
everybody, all participants have the ability to unmute themselves. They have the authorization, they can unmute themselves at any point. Or if you'd like to put, raise your hand or write something in the chat room, I can call on you.
Yeah, please identify yourself and your address too, please. Okay, so there's nobody speaking against the issuance of a license. Anyone speaking in favor of the approval of the license? Okay, hearing none. Guess then we can go back to the original motion. Josh, you might want to read it.
Mr. Chair, can I mention something, Mr. Chair, real quick?
Go
So
ahead, Dan.
you guys have an idea as to what Tony and I did to sort of set the stage here. We reached out to the superintendent of Nahant Public Schools, who in turn reached out to the principal of Johnson School. And we also reached out to Chief Dwyer, asking if over the past 3 years there have been any alcohol/school-related complaints they received, and no party had anything to say in terms of fielding any complaints. So there were none that we know about. And we also asked if they foresee any problem over the next 3 or 4 years regarding any liquor being served. And no one foresaw any problems either. So just so the board knows that, along with the material submitted by the applicant.
That's good. Thanks for being so thorough and setting this up. Okay, great. Josh, do you want to redo the motion?
Sure. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the application for a new annual restaurant all liquor license as applied for by R&B Management for the property located at 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. 01908. All statutory requirements relating to publication and notice were duly complied with, including publication in the Lynn Item local newspaper on March 18th, 2021. Notice to all persons deemed by the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission to be affected by the petition was given.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Tony,
Denise,
before, go ahead.
These are one more motion, Mr. Chair, and that is that the board finds that there will be no detrimental effect in light of the issuance of the liquor license to Kelly Greens, and no detrimental effect, on Johnson School.
So made.
Motion's been made, seconded. Josh,
Seconded.
any further discussion on the motion? Seeing, hearing none.
We didn't quite get what the motion was exactly.
Well,
Okay, let me repeat that.
as read by Dan, by town council.
Yeah, no, I got that, but I sounded more like a statement than a, could you just restate it?
I'll
please, Dan?
elaborate. Whenever a liquor license is issued to a premises that's within 500 feet of a school or a church or things like that, but in this case, a school, the ABCC wants the local licensing authority, which in this case is the Board of Selectmen, to find that there will be they foresee no detrimental effect on, in this case, the Johnson School. So this vote is just to make that finding. And then we'll have to have one more vote just to authorize Tony to sign a letter on behalf of the Selectmen to reflect that finding. So now we're just we're dealing with the motion to find no detrimental effect on Johnson School.
Okay,
Josh, is that okay, Josh? I mean, does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
As read by, Jane, you made that motion, as read by town council?
Yes. And this is just a motion for the detrimental effect. Yes.
Seconded by Josh Antrim.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I.
And then we need just one more authorizing, the Board of Selectmen authorizing Tony Barletta, the town administrator, to send a letter to the ABCC reflecting the most recent vote by the Board of Selectmen regarding Kelly Greens.
I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize Town Administrator Tony Barletta to send a letter to the ABCC
Reflecting the Board of Selectmen's finding in the most recent vote.
reporting the Board of Selectmen's findings on this application.
Seconded.
Motion is made, seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. So, Tony, before we get into the warrant issue here, are we skipping over this? Do you wanna tee this up first?
This is the annual town election warrant.
Okay.
So this is a little bit different. This
Okay,
is actually for annual town election.
all right.
And I can share my screen to show it. Pull it up here. I have it. Actually, I thought it was in the backup for the packet.
Yeah, we know it.
Yeah,
We
you
know
know what it is. Yeah,
It's just a ballot, who's running and that type of thing.
exactly. Yep.
Josh or Jean?
I move that the Board of Selectmen execute the warrant of the annual town election to take place on Saturday, April 24th, 2021.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We have some minutes to approve.
Yeah, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes for March 18th, 2021.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Next motion is to approve the men's softball league.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the Nahant Men's Softball League at the Lowlands Softball Field from May 1st, 2021 through September 15th, 2021 at 5 p.m. on various days.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? I see.
Just
Go ahead.
pointing out that all the COVID guidelines apply, obviously. That's it.
Yep. They submitted a COVID compliant plan reviewed by John Coulon. I'll also just mention, I see Toby's on the call with us too. They're aware of interruptions in their season due to the wall that heals and potentially other work that's going to be going on down there. So just FYI.
Okay. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We need to approve swim annual beach cleanup.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the annual Nahant Swim Beach Cleanup on Sunday, May 23rd, 2021, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Looking forward to it.
Me too. Okay, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. On to ongoing business. This is a discussion on the wall that heals. I know Toby Quirk is here to discuss that. Toby, I'll turn this over to you.
Am I coming through?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to try to make this fairly concise and brief, less than 5 minutes. So the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund out of Washington, D.C. manages the Vietnam Memorial down there in Washington, D.C. And since 1996, they have built a replica that's been touring the country. So they travel in a truck carrying the assembly of a wall that's 375 feet long and 8 feet high. The truck then transforms into a mobile education center similar to a museum on the Vietnam era. So this year, the tour starts on April 8th, next week in North Carolina. They're visiting 28 towns, and they will be in Townsend, Massachusetts on July 1st through the 4th. And then they skip a week and they show up here in Nahant July 15th through the 18th. Just a side note, our original event request was for that first week, July 1 through 4. And our good town administrator said, No, go change it to another week because of the 4th of July activities we have here. So that was good advice. So the wall will be assembled at the Lowlands Ball Field, and the Mobile Education Center will be there on the parking lot right before the ball field. So the Nahant American Legion is honored to be chosen for this. There's about 100 applications, and being one of 28 chosen was a pretty big deal for us. And the fact is, they have a limited tour this year because of COVID, so they're only hitting 28 towns. Our wall committee has actually been meeting since the fall of 2019 because we were on a schedule for last year. So kind of a silver lining to a bad deal because we got canceled. The silver lining is that we've been together and working on this. We have basically an extra year to get ready and try to cover all the contingencies. I thought I'd take a second just, I was on an interview with the Lynn Daily Item today, and the reporter wanted to know my personal motivation. So I thought I'd share a quick notion about that with y'all. Because this takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it's kind of like church work. You know, the benefits are small, but the pay is small, but the benefits are eternal. So putting a lot of time into it. But my experience goes back to 1966 to 1970. I was a cadet at West Point. And of course, everyone who graduates from West Point goes into active duty. And so we graduated a whole bunch of brand new young lieutenants from 66 to really to about 73. And all of them, most of them served in Vietnam. And if my memory serves me right, we had a funeral there at West Point about once every month. And a lot of upperclassmen that I got to know pretty well came back and flag draped coffins and were buried in the cemetery there. So that experience, and then just being around for that whole Vietnam era in a military uniform forms a lot of my motivation for this wall to give a welcome home to some of these guys that are still struggling with some of the emotional effects. So I plan to have my own personal time visiting the wall and finding the names of the dozen or so friends of mine that are on there. There's 58,000 plus names on the wall. And we have a number of Vietnam veterans here in Nahant. We had a really nice observance Monday, May 29th, which is a fairly new Memorial Day. It's Vietnam War Memorial Day. And I see Bob Fields is on the call here. He put together a nice ceremony there at the Davis Memorial over by the Northeastern property. So we have a lot of Vietnam veterans in town, but also extended families of military people that died there or were wounded there or still suffering from some of the emotional effects there. So there's kind of a network of that age group. I think we figured out that the youngest age you could be as a Vietnam veteran is about 63 years old. So it's an older population, but their children, grandchildren, and relatives are connected to that population. So, and the memorial itself is not just for veterans. It's really to honor any military person, active duty or retired or separated. And a big deal on this one, at least from our point of view, is the Mobile Education Center. What happens is that 53-foot trailer comes into the parking lot, and then they open up an awning on both sides of it, and it becomes kind of a interactive museum to show what it was like during that era and some of the memories from the Vietnam War. But it also has a section on there called Hometown Heroes, where they collect the names of local people from Nahant and Lynn, Swampscott, in the local area, and they put a picture of them on there and a little bit of their history. And another element of it is fairly new, and it's called the In Memory Program. And more and more numbers of people are coming up who have served in Vietnam, and they are suffering from some of these invisible wounds. And with Agent Orange, and some of it's physical, some of it's emotional. So they're gathering names of people through the VA and some of the other agencies of these people that are suffering. They didn't, you know, they didn't die in Vietnam, but because of their experience there, they have some lingering effects. So there's a program that the Traveling Wall has put together to memorialize these folks and gather their families together too. And we're going to be giving tours of this mobile education center for groups of all ages, student groups and veteran groups, and whoever we can gather. We have one of our committee people dedicated just to that tour. So here's the schedule. We're going to have a convoy coming in from Suffolk Downs and Revere on July 13th, somewhere in the afternoon. So the truck comes, and we are going to have motorcycles in the front of it and behind it. And one of our committee guys is coordinating with the state police, Revere Police, Lynn Police, all the other law enforcement. So they're all on board for that. So that comes in on Tuesday, the 13th, the convoy with the truck and motorcycles from Revere Beach up the Linway, across the causeway, then into Nahant. And we haven't settled on the details, but we'll probably make a loop through Nahant so that the bikes can kind of be heading out so that they don't cause a traffic problem. So that's Tuesday the 13th. And then Wednesday, we assemble the wall, and we're putting together an assembly crew. In fact, one of our guys, he works for an organization where their employees can get benefits for community service. So he put together a team of young guys to assemble a wall from that group. That's on Wednesday, the 14th. And that evening, we're going to have kind of a soft opening with an informal kind of a ceremony, a welcome home, just an opening ceremony on Wednesday, not a real big deal. So the first official day is Wednesday, the 15th. I'm sorry, Thursday, the 15th of July. And we're required to man this wall 24 hours for all 5 days, the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. So we have to put together a task force of about 130 people. And we're going to break this organization down into 4-hour shifts. In each shift, we're going to put 6 people on the shift, and then they're going to be manning the wall for, it's about 90 hours straight. And the experience that we've been given is that there are people that come late at night, you know, because they want to be alone at their time with that memory. So we're going to be there 24 hours for the 5 days. We want to let Nahant know that we're extremely sensitive to whatever effects we might have on traffic and parking and taking some of the resources that we're going to need for that event. And we've coordinated with the police department, with the fire department and DPW, and Tony's been involved with a number of our committee meetings. So we've got tremendous support from town officials and all the departments, and really kind of an overwhelming support from the residents of Nahant and the local community. So there's 4 ways that we're looking for help. So this is my advertisement. I wonder if is this going to come on? Is this reversed, or can you read that?
You can read it.
All right, this is my advertisement. So we're looking for people to come and visit. You know, don't be shy. We want as many people to come because this event is for you. And that's our website for the American Legion. alpost215.org. And the great thing about this website is that there's a button on there to volunteer. There's a button on there to donate. And when you hit the volunteer button, we have a spreadsheet that comes up with all the slots for every required position for this whole 5-day event. So you can put your name in there and your information, and we'll follow up. Then that's our website. If you have comments or questions, info at, can't read it backwards, info@alpost215.org, email us. And then that's our mailing address, PO Box 82. So we're looking for volunteer help and for donations. Fundraising has been going real well right now. We're a little ahead of glide path, but with the volunteers, we feel like we're a little behind. It's trying to raise a task force of 130, 150 people. We've got some good responses from some organizations, but we could sure use some help. So that's how to connect with us on our website, alpost215.org. I feel like I'm advertising for a real estate company or something here, but then our email site, and then our mailbox, PO Box 82. So that's a quick down and dirty summary on what's going on. So I'll take any questions.
Well, thank you, Toby. Let me first say that thank you for your service to the country and to this town. It's much appreciated. And all the members of American Legion Post 215. I know there's a lot of work that goes into this, and we're so blessed in this town to have people like you and the veterans at Post 215. So we will do anything we can to help you out here. I think, Tony, maybe we can get this website up on our website so people can see it. Maybe get the electronic sign coming into town going at some point to let people know where they can sign up and volunteer to help out. But you know, I'm certainly going to be one of them. But I look forward to this, and I would look forward to participating in it. And again, thanks so much, Toby, to you and all of your volunteers. It's so much appreciated.
There's one point that I didn't mention, and that is this team that's going around the country, they're extremely concerned about safety for COVID. And they've been trained at the highest level of restrictions. And like I say, they're already started. And every event they go to, they're going to get better and better at it. And they've already briefed us on what they expect us from us. So, the big question is, where we're going to be in July, and nobody knows. So in our planning, just like any operation, you plan as if the conditions are as they are today. And so we've been briefed on, the masks, the distancing, the sanitizing, taking care of the porta potties, et cetera, et cetera. So we're extremely sensitive to that. And we want to make sure that people know that we're going to do everything we can to make it safe and to keep people healthy.
Great. Josh or Jane, any comments here?
No, just thank you, Toby, very much for all the organization. I know you have a pretty big team already. A tremendous amount of work has already gone into this, so thanks very much. I know last year was canceled, and former Selectman Richie Lombard was really looking forward to it. I'm sure he'll be down there enjoying the event as well.
Hey, Toby, great presentation. Really, it says a lot for what you guys are doing to put this out in front of us. Thank you so much.
Toby, I just also, for volunteers, there are free trainings online to become certified as like a COVID compliance officer. It's like an hour webinar of some sort, but it's free. So that may be something that you guys want to take a look at.
Okay.
And we'll definitely help promote the website and, for folks to volunteer or donate.
Good point. We'll do that.
Okay. And thank you, Toby.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see where I'm at. Okay. So we can approve the FY22 budget adjustments now, Tony, right?
We don't have any. I listed it on there just in case, but we're actually good. And as far as letter C for open and close annual town meeting warrant, we still have some work to do there. And I know I would have liked to get it done, have it for you tonight, but unfortunately, we're still waiting on some review from legal counsel. So it's inevitable that we'd have to make some legal edits anyways next week. So I'd like to hold off on that, and if it's okay with you guys, meet the soonest we could meet is Tuesday, maybe a little bit earlier, just to take on the warrant, opening and closing the warrant, put those final adjustments in, and get them over to the FinCom before they meet, which I think they'll probably meet, at 7 o'clock Tuesday night.
Okay, fine. Then we'll skip over that, and it brings us down to preserving East Point. I know that I met with the Finance Committee last week regarding the eminent domain article in the warrant. We had a long discussion about what the Board of Selectmen were proposing to do in terms of the procedures of the process on the eminent domain. And I also told the Finance Committee that the board would tonight have a new article that would outline the eminent domain process and have a few other conditions in it that we discussed at the FinCom meeting. Because we're up against the open meeting law and the board couldn't really meet to discuss. There's a number of attorneys, our eminent domain attorney, our town council. We met earlier today in executive session to review this. We believe we have the new article just about prepared, including a map in the area that we will propose taking. I just want to say that will be approved Tuesday at the latest. We'll get that to the Finance Committee. There will be some conditions that all members of the board had requested in the new article. One, that that in the article, that the article states that we cap the town's financial commitment to the eminent domain taken to the article, to the funding to community preservation, and that is all. We also agreed to specify in the article the exact area in which we will be taking. And is there something else, Gene or Josh, that was going to be included in that article?
A contingency that the $4.5 million in funds be secured in advance of the taking action. And we also discussed the possibility of specifying Chapter 80A versus leaving it open to 79 and 80A. So we'll wait for a legal opinion on that one, I guess, and then have that for Tuesday night. I think those were the only other criteria.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know. I had put together a few slides just because, town meeting is getting close and we have only a handful of meetings left. And it's really a sort of a very high level view of eminent domain and the impact of the town. I wonder, unfortunately, I didn't warn any of you that I was working on this. I just made it up this afternoon, in fact. But if we have a couple minutes, I'd like to share those slides if Tony could make me the presenter.
Sure.
Yeah, so, you able to do that, Tony?
Yep.
And post. All right. So, again, this, well, first of all, are we all seeing that?
Yeah,
Oh,
if you
okay.
go to, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, this is very high level, but we have, and I haven't had it checked over or anything by you, Tony, and making sure or proofread by anybody. I just thought I'd share it anyway. So as I think everybody knows, there'll be an article on the town warrant asking the voters to authorize the Board of Selectmen to be able to execute eminent domain. And so why eminent domain? Simply put, it's the most certain method of ensuring East Point remains undeveloped conservation. I can shrink that down. Yeah. You know, it's the most certain method of ensuring East Point remains undeveloped conservation land for all the public to enjoy forever. You know, Northeastern has been unwavering in their desire to develop this area, even though it's been zoned a natural resource area in Nahant for the past 30 years. And what they want to develop is a 55,000 square foot building and the associated parking lots and thermal wells and so on. Unfortunately, Northeastern does not seem willing to consider alternate locations. So if we do nothing, when I say we, I really am talking about the entire town here. If we don't do anything, East Point will be developed. The only way we can preserve it is to take action. What is the budget for eminent domain? This is another thing we've touched upon in the past. So high level summary for maybe those that haven't seen all this stuff, but we've budgeted $4.5 million, $3 million minimum is to come from private donations, and the other $1.5 million from a town CPA 30-year bond. The estimates that go into that budget are $2 million, about $2 million for compensation to Northeastern, the so-called pro tanto. That number is based on the very thorough appraisal that was done by, you know, a professional with 40 years experience doing this kind of thing. $500,000 for legal costs. That's based on the opinions of town council and our eminent domain lawyer who have a lot of experience with eminent domain. And that leaves $2 million in contingency. So our budget contains, you know, about $2 million contingency, but that's the basis of the budget. What's being asked of Nahant taxpayers is this $1.5 million in CPA funds via a 30-year bond. So as Mark just alluded to, this is expected to be the upper limit that would be contributed or could be contributed by Nahant taxpayer. Now this, if you take that $1.5 million and it works out to $35, about $35 per household per year. We currently have a 3% real estate surcharge for CPA funds. That's already included in our tax bills. And so this $35 a year is not an extra $35 a year. It's already included in your real estate taxes. So that means there is zero additional tax to fund this eminent domain process coming from Nahant taxpayers. Here's an explanation of that bond breakdown. So $1.5 million over 30 years at an interest rate of around 4.5% or 4%, works out to a little over $2.5 million with a 50 cents on the dollar match by the state. That knocks it down to 1.7 million. Divide that by 30, it's $56,000 a year. 1,600 households in town, that's $35 per household. That's 10 cents a day per household. If you want to look at it on a per capita basis, $16 per person, 4 cents per person per day. If you are concerned about the state match on CPA funds, to be extra conservative, I said, what if there's no match at all from the state? And that changes the numbers a bit. It becomes $54 per household per year and 7 cents a day per person per person per day. So that's how the numbers break down. That's just straight math. Now, there is a cost in Nahant for hosting an expanded Northeastern University. Estimates have been made by what was published in the Board of Selectmen's second statement, and there's also been a second RKG estimate. This table is the range of the highs and the lows. To be extra conservative, I just took the lowest of all that estimate. That's over 40 years. That works out to $253,000 and $500 per year. So that money comes from somewhere, and that comes from us, the taxpayers. That's $158 per household per year to host an expanded Northeastern. So what that means is, last slide here. So in summary, Nahant citizens have the legal right and the means via eminent domain to preserve our open space. I'm supposed to say our open space, not. We can preserve this land with no increase to your tax burden if we use this Chapter 80A method. The risk of exceeding what Nahant is willing to pay is eliminated because we can back out and pay only Northeastern's cost if it comes to that. And so for me, the question boils down to what I have in the yellow box here. Would you rather spend $35 a year and get a beautiful public park for us all to enjoy, or spend $158 a year to subsidize the biggest non-Department of Defense development in the history of Nahant? For me, it's a pretty easy choice, but that's my high-level explanation of why we're putting eminent domain on the warrant.
Geez, thank you, Josh. I was completely unaware of this. You did a great job. Really good job. Go ahead, Jim.
Really, just to say that Josh does what Josh does best. And what he's trying to do, in my mind, is develop an educated voter. Because there's so many people I talk with who at some point are going to go to the voting booth and going to vote without really knowing what they're voting on. And we've got to do everything we can to put these numbers out in front of them so that they understand them, so that it's simple, so that they can take it and make an educated vote. And it's so important that they do, because we get so much at risk here. Thanks, Josh. That was a great presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome. As I said, I kind of rushed through it this afternoon. In fact, I was multitasking during our executive session, but I think it's a pretty compelling story, and I believe it's the citizens' right to determine the future of our town. And again, this is not, I applaud Northeastern's mission to study sustainability. I think they can study sustainability 75 yards to the west.
True.
Agreed, Josh. And, I think that, the time that we've taken over the past several months to develop this process, whereby we eliminate any financial risk to the taxpayer, it boils this down to a simple question. Do you want to preserve the open space and natural resources at Northeastern or not?
Yep. That's exactly right, Mark. That's it. It's that simple.
That simple. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Josh. Let's see. Okay, any further discussion on this? I know that, I'm just gonna say that maybe by Tuesday, we do plan on having another sort of educational Zoom meeting for the public prior to town meeting. We haven't decided on a date for that, but we'll probably be towards the end of April. We'll put that together, or early May, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah, just one more comment, Mark. You know, I think you hit upon it exactly. You know, the concern that some citizens have is any element of risk involved with this, involved with preserving East Point via eminent domain or any other method. So I think we're on the right track here, revising this warrant article to take every step possible to minimize the financial and legal risk associated with this. So looking forward to what we come up with for next Tuesday.
I think it'll be eye-opening. Great, thanks again, Josh. Appreciate it. Okay, town administrators report.
Tony?
Thank you. I don't have much. I've been out this week, but I will say that we successfully submitted on time an application to Congressman Moulton's office for a community project funding. Essentially, it's like an earmark in their budget. So as the federal government's going through their budget process, he's reaching out for certain types of projects, certain type of funding. And we looked at past applications that have been approved. It ranged anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million. Typically, when we're asking for budget earmarks at the state level, where the max you're asking for is $100,000, and that's pretty rare. So this was an opportunity to take somewhat of a bigger bite at the apple. And so we submitted, working with Trey from Applied Coastal, we submitted for 1.1 million. I don't suspect that we'll get a full 1.1 million, but hopefully we'll get something. And we submitted it for the Short Beach Dune Renourishment Project. What we've talked about publicly thus far regarding that project is our MVP, the MVP grant money that we received was to design access points that helped renourish the dune and improve our resiliency. When we had Applied Coastal come in and take a look at the dune, those access points were the short-term goals, increasing the size of the total dune, improving the dune right by the Coast Guard station, the life-saving station, excuse me, was the long-term goal and the much bigger project, somewhere around $1.1 million. So we've submitted, we threw it in as a request to Congressman Moulton's office. I don't know what the timeline is as far as hearing from that, but wanted to report that we got that in on time. We also submitted a request to Representative Capano's office. The state likewise is going through their budget process. We submitted for $80,000. That request was for a project related to installing fiber to connect all of our town buildings. It has to do with our IT security and communications by connecting all town buildings with fiber cable. And we got a quote from a company that was around $75,000. So we submitted for 80 just in case we got it and it was a little bit more expensive. So those were the two requests that we submitted this past week. Just wanted to make that report.
Great news, Tony. With everything going on, it's good that you were able to stay on top of that. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And that's all I have for now.
Okay, we got citizens forum. How are we handling this, Tony? Just open mic? Do they go through the chat room first?
I have a chat message from Ken Carangelo regarding, I believe, the specific to Northeastern. So we can start with Ken, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
Hello there.
I can.
Hi. Thank you for the additional information. This is regarding East Point and eminent domain in particular, and Ken Carangelo, 81 Willow Road. I just want to clarify a couple of things. Are you saying that the higher risk Chapter 79 option, whereby the town just does the taking and then whatever the amount ends up being, the town has to pay, is still being considered, as opposed to the ADA option, where there are several points where the town can make a decision if the amount is greater than expected?
We will be proposing the ADA process.
Okay, that's what I understood from the last meeting, but I don't believe that's what Josh had just said. But I may just be confused. Regarding the other locations on East Point, and Josh specifically said development 75 yards to the west, which I believe would mean in the lower part, the floodplain of East Point. Has that not been discussed with the town, with earlier selectmen and or town administrators and rolled out for other reasons?
You know, it hasn't been discussed with me. I've tried to enter into those discussions and I was pretty quickly shut down by Northeastern. But I have since found that Northeastern does have plans and has considered other locations on their property that where they could make their development without impacting the wetlands and some of the other more environmentally sensitive areas. And that's precisely what we would like to try to mediate with Northeastern. They haven't shared that with the town, but we know it exists.
Okay. Again, I may be mistaken. I thought in their original information session back in 2018, part of the reason those sections of the property were ruled out was because they were higher risk, subject to flood, and would require additional investment, to make sure they were safe if built in those places. So if there's any discussion, mediation, whatever, that would be awesome. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Jean, you stated that the question would be decided by people going to the voting booth. And I would just like to point out that that's actually not the case. As it stands now, the vote would be held on the floor of town meeting. And as historic and as in some ways beautiful the town meeting format is, it's also subject to manipulation in terms of who is in the room or on the field at any given time. And in fact, by definition, represents just a subset of voters, not the entire town. So I know the question's been asked in the past as to whether the vote could be taken in some other way to ensure that everyone who is eligible to vote is actually able to weigh in. But I just want to point out for Mr. Canty and others, it's not the voting booth, it's town meeting, which is a different thing.
But your answer to that, Ken, I believe, was by town council that this is the only process because we are a town meeting form of government.
Understood. You are meeting again before town meeting, correct? The selectmen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll save that for another one. Let's see. And again, so Josh presenting slides, and in the last meeting presenting the responses to the citizens letter that you provided. Again, appreciated. Is there any reason under the open meeting law that these responses or the slides couldn't be discussed among the three of you in the open forum and then come to some consensus, as opposed to sort of lobbing these out as individual responses?
Again, we can't, we'd be in violation of the open meeting law unless we met in public to discuss any policy related issue. Has to be done in public.
Yeah, well, again, that's what I'm saying. So would it not be possible to take part of this meeting, for instance, and actually have that discussion and come to the consensus? Like, it doesn't have to happen in private, that discussion not happen in public.
It could.
A lengthy process, but I mean, if Mark or Jean, if you have any suggested changes for the slides I just showed, now is the time to tell me.
Yeah, just put my signature at the bottom of it too.
I'll save the specifics of that for a FinCom meeting. And just one more thing here, and again, just listening again to the meeting from last week, and actually there's a transcript that I'll go ahead and post. I assume there's not a written response to that letter coming. It was just what was presented in the meeting last time. Is that a fair assumption?
I have my responses written. I'd be glad to share them with you if you like.
Okay, that'd be great. Actually,
I think Josh, you might have yours, and I'm not sure, Gene, but I did write mine down. I'd be glad to share them with you.
Okay, thank you. And I would of course like to post those and make them public.
Yeah.
The one in just going through the responses again, I guess I just want to ask a very specific question. Mark, you had mentioned in that meeting that the communications around legal strategy and the donations for legal costs from the Nahant Preservation Trust were done in the normal course. I believe that was your phrase, the normal course of these meetings. But to me, the question remains, there has been no visible public discussion of the legal strategy. So I guess specifically, in what venues and by what means has Nahant Preservation Trust communicated with the Board of Selectmen on the legal strategy in general and on eminent domain in particular?
This is regarding the Article 97 lawsuit?
Any of it, actually. The entire approach, the legal counsel, the costs for legal counsel, what the strategy is going to be, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, that is largely discussed in executive session for reasons that I'm sure you can appreciate. The same reason why Northeastern wouldn't share their legal strategies to the public. The town can't be doing that because this is in court. And we don't want to discuss that publicly at their advice of our town council.
Okay.
We've joined, the town of Nahant has joined the lawsuit with Preservation Trust because we share many of the common interests. And we're working on that case jointly.
Okay, so again, and I realize I'm getting very specific here. So would discussion, are you saying that discussions with Nahant Preservation Trust have taken place in those executive sessions with the Board of Selectmen?
Some of them, yes. When it's referring, when we're talking about Article 97 lawsuits, yes, generally.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken.
By the way, Ken, you look just like your father.
For those who don't know, today would have been my dad's 80th birthday. He passed away at age 56, and I posted a Facebook picture today. Yeah. So, Mark, thank you very much.
A mini me, right? You, right? So good.
Hey, Ken.
Thanks.
The reference to the voting booth. The message clearly was to get an educated voter to vote at the town meeting. But I have another question. Last meeting we talked and I asked you if you had been meeting with, excuse my hoarseness, if you had been meeting with Northeastern and you said clearly that you had, would you mind sharing with us some of what's discussed there? Are you leading the conversation from them to us or from us back to them?
Yeah, I want to clarify, you had asked the question, have I met with Northeastern? I believe that was the way you
Yes.
phrased the question. And my response was that I have spoken with Jeff Trussell. Jeff is the director of the Institute, whatever it's called at the moment. I would not in any way represent that as being me as a representative of the town or of any citizens or of any group or whatever. Jeff and I are friends and we talk, and yeah, I would not say that there's any strategic, concerted, whatever effort, to communicate with between myself, a group of anybody, and Northeastern.
As I clearly understood, you said after you paused for a minute that you had met with them several times. Now, who
Please
that
look at
was
the video,
doesn't
Jim.
bother me.
Honestly, please look at the video. I can give you the
I will.
timestamp, but my answer was very specifically that I have spoken with Jeff Trussell. That was all that was said.
I guess my concern here is we've been very transparent with you, with the town, with trying to make this thing as clear and lucid as we can.
Mhm.
And I would like that same courtesy from you or somebody else or anybody else who's meeting with them from time to time. It may even help the situation.
Mhm. Well, if and when those meetings actually evolve, I would expect that those would be made known. But again, in the answer to what you asked 2 weeks ago, please don't misconstrue, what I had said. There's no, it's me and Jeff talking via Zoom over Scotch. So,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Well, we don't have any scotch in our executive session. Ken. Wish we did.
I don't, that's probably a good thing.
Okay. Any other questions in the chat room, Tony?
Nothing else in the chat room. If anybody else on the call wants to unmute themselves or raise their hand, they're welcome to do so.
Good. Okay, so we are going to be meeting publicly then on Tuesday, Tony?
Yes, I think 5:30 would be, I don't want to
Okay.
go too much earlier than that, but I do want to get through it quickly so we can get the language over to the FinCom. I'm assuming they're meeting at like 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yeah, okay, that'd be great. All right, anything else, Josh, Gene?
No.
Okay,
Here,
get a motion to adjourn?
so made.
You do have executive session if you
Oh, yeah,
regard my contract. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
It should be very quick.
sorry about that. Okay,
We might have to make a motion there.
you want me to make this motion? I move that the Board of Selectmen adjourn into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Northeastern Marine Science Center, 430 Nahant Road, Nahant. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for contract negotiations with the town administrator.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion?
I have two things. Actually, one. Are we going back into open session, Mr. Chair?
We are not going back into open session.
Great. Thank you. Actually, I only want that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor?
Josh, I for mine?
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Good night, everybody. Oh. Tony, do we have a link to executive session?
You can stay right on here.
Okay.
Josh, can you make me the host again so I can turn off the live streaming and everything? So if you click on my screen, there's 3 buttons in the top right corner.
Okay, let me get rid of chat. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, this is. I'm not seeing it.
So if you scroll over my name, or my bot with this, there should be buttons in the top right corner of that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then make host.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.